I know that this will be demonetized, but Cyril Ramaphosa is so fucked beyond belief. It's actually amazing. So sorry, Byron, we're not going to get monetized for this particular video, but this is very important. The Pala Pala panel in Parliament has found that Cyril may have created and committed serious violations of the Constitution, his oath of office, and breached anti-corruption laws. If we look at the news article from Propaganda 24, no one really expected this. Byron, did you expect this? We were with John when this was happening, when we filmed our video with him. And even John was like, oh, Parliament always protects the president. But now look.
Yeah, except this is a problem with Ramaphosa. Because he's constantly kind of like trying to champion this new dawn, and I'm going to like fix the country. But he never fucking does anything. And then everybody says to him, you need to put some processes in place, mate, that just make it you not look like such a puss. And he goes, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. But he does it half-heartedly. And he does it to kind of appease people. And all his appeasements have now come to bite him in the ass. Because what he did is he went in, if you recall, the initial panel, which he got for Ramaphosa, was full of Rama fanatics. And those Rama fanatics were always going to find in front of him. And what happened is everybody is like, now we've seen all this Rama fanatics bullcrap before. You need to actually have an independent panel. And he's like, oh, okay, then. And now the independent panel's come out and gone, yeah, he did exactly what you all thought he did. And he's like, oh, how did they find me guilty? Well, because when you judge the ANC based on its merits, and when you judge the ANC based on the facts, it's very hard for any independent person to look at what they do and go, it's not all, as we've used in other videos, unethical, unconstitutional, and irrational. It's always like that.
Yeah, it always is. So just quickly, let us just go to the report quickly. So the full report, I'll link down below. It is on Politics Web for you to read if you want to read 90 pages of legalese. But basically, former Chief Justice Sandile Gqobo found that Ramaphosa committed a serious violation in terms of Section 34(1) of Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act. And basically what this does is it created a conflict between his official responsibilities as a president and his private business interests. And on top of that, he failed to report the theft to his farm to any police official as required by law. And on top of all of that, they do state that Ramaphosa said he sold buffalo for $580,000 to some Sudanese businessman. The invoice was VAT excluded, so he had to pay VAT on top of that. Did he report that? No one knows.
Nope.
We don't know the address on the VAT invoice for the business person. That's not there. In terms of an invoice, it is sufficiently deficient as an invoice to be a proper invoice. So maybe he just cooked it all up. It's a nightmare through and through for Cyril Ramaphosa. So Byron, let's talk about what are the repercussions for Ramaphosa and most importantly, the repercussions for the ANC. Because based on the data we have, ANC support with Ramaphosa is about 45 to 50%. Without him, 35%.
Yeah, it's finished. It's finished.
Gone.
What did the DA this morning say? Well, your choices are you get a guy who stole money from the taxpayer in Digital Vibes, you get a guy who runs a mafia state, or you get Mr. Palapala. That's your options in the ANC, guys. Or you get the wicked witch from the West who says you can't smoke or drink alcohol. Like, I don't know. The options are pretty thin.
Yeah, welcome to democracy. These are your options. All the morons that you can think of. So what is going to happen from here? Well, we don't know. We actually don't know. So the report opens up an impeachment process through Parliament, which Parliament may adopt. Based on the internal discussions on ANC forums, which we are privy to in some respects, Cyril's...
But it's going to have to get voted on by Parliament. And as we know, when the ANC vote, they usually vote they vote for their man, and the ANC do still have a majority. However, guys, here's where it gets interesting. Mr. Step Aside and the Wicked Witch from the West has already come out going, step aside.
Step aside. You said the rule for step aside. So putting Parliament aside for a moment, because that doesn't actually matter that much. What matters is what's happening in the ANC. We have seen forums, ANC forums, last night and early this morning, where people are saying, there's only two things you can do. He must resign, we must recall him, or he must put it on review. The people that want to put the report on review, i.e. the Zuma approach to things, are a huge minority of people. Cyril is losing support every single minute after this report was published, which gives him so few options that I don't think he has any other option but to resign or step aside. I just don't know. There's nothing else there for him unless he wants to be Zuma 2.0, but he doesn't have. But
and the journo class.
Yeah, but the
journo class, mate.
Yeah, but the ANC can't handle Zuma 2.0. And number two, Cyril did not have the power Zuma had when Zuma was president. Cyril is completely fucked.
The journo class. The journo class. What happened to the new dawn? Cyril was majestic. We love Cyril. They're all writing now about it's time to do the right thing, Mr. President. Step down, you corrupt. Mm-hmm. And they all kind of getting really aggressive with the guy. What happened to their love childs of News 24 and Times Live? Like, these guys have been trumping this guy's praises for how long? Where's all the praise gone?
Yeah, no, it's gone. But the fundamental point I'm trying to make here is that this is the rope that Cyril created for himself, right? He praised Andrew Fraser. He moved Andrew Fraser to correctional services after his debacle at the State Security Agency. He praised him when Andrew Fraser released Jacob Zuma on parole illegally. And now Andrew Fraser, who Cyril praised and moved and protected, has fucked Cyril so hard up the derriere. It's not even retarded. It is retardation to a basis of like no pulse. This presidency under Cyril, it really is. It is the most moronic, dumb, less strategic thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I live in South Africa. We live around morons every day, but this is another level.
John said it himself when we were with him. If Ramaphosa had gone to Parliament and just said, "Oh, sorry, guys, it was a mistake. I'm busy running a country. I've got people doing stuff for me. Things just get away with me sometimes. Yeah, I'll pay my fine and leave it alone." Had he done that, everybody would just be like, "Yeah, whatever, man." And at the same time, had Ramaphosa actually come into office and done exactly all the things that he wanted to do, he'd find himself with friends. But he hasn't, mate. He hasn't. He's come into office and he's tried to appease everybody and sundry. Let's not forget that one of his greatest political rivals right now is Mkhize, who he appointed as Minister of Health. He put him into a position to appease the Zulu faction so that he could get some support. Let's not forget that virtually the deputy president in reality, NDZ, is only there because she's part of the Zuma faction to keep Ramaphosa happy. He's got Lesulu, who's calling for his head on a daily basis. On a daily basis. He appointed her. No one else. All the screw-ups in government are his appointees. All of the shitty policies that you see in the country, expropriation without compensation, stricter BEE, energy reform that's gone nowhere. It's all Ramaphosa. All of it's from Ramaphosa. He put these things in place and lost himself support. And here he is, even when it came down to the Zuma faction. We had the riots last year. What happened with the riots last year? All the armed people got together and said, fuck this gun control stuff. We looked after our cities. You guys need to back off. We all saw what the KZN riots brought. And yet, whose minister was it? Oh, Sele, who stood up and said, oh, well, you should take away all your guns because, white people or something. And these are his ministers. He hasn't held any of them to account. And now that what's happened, Zuma's come out there, and let's not forget, during the Zondo Commission, he went up there and said, no such thing as cadre deployment, doesn't exist. And then Zondo was like, yes, it does, and you need to outlaw it. And he said, no, we won't, because we like cadre deployment, which doesn't exist, by the way. And then, actually, it kind of does exist, and we should probably get rid of it. Maybe, only because you told us. Like, this isn't leadership. And now he's got Arthur Fraser, who's come out there knowing that he was going to get implicated in Zondo. And he's like, I tell you what, I'm going to strike first, strike hard, no mercy in this dojo. And guess what? He's got no support, mate. So as a result, it doesn't really matter what he says. he's got no support.
Indeed, his own cadres have screwed him in the back. This whole entire debacle is solely on Cyril being weak, as we've been saying since the beginning. And this is the result thereof. He might not be president by the time this video comes out. Well, okay, maybe he will be. But by Christmas, very big doubt about that. So we will see.
I think he'll still be president by Christmas, but I think that any form of credibility, and I say that with a smile and a cheer, because he doesn't have any credibility, but any supposed credibility that he may have, it's gone. It's gone.
Just imagine that. How is he going to campaign for elections? How is he going to present a State of the Nation address? How is he going to have any credibility to do anything as president going forward now that this report, which is the first independent legal report this country has ever seen in 30 years, has implicated him in corruption and tax fraud? It's impossible.
But I wouldn't say it's the first, because let's be honest, like Zondo's reports were actually pretty independent in terms of when it came out. He was pretty hard hitting on, you guys fucked up. I mean, what's gone after that has been pretty much nothing. But where you find independence in any form of inquiries in this country, the fault is always identified as the same thing, and that is the ANC is deeply corrupt. Now, everybody knows that. You know that, I know that, and Ramaphosa sat here for the last how many years running on the fact that he's in the ANC, but the ANC is very corrupt. And so what he's gone around with the halo and the holier than thou, and he's walked around going, well, I'm not like them. I'm not corrupt. Well, turns out he is. And who's surprised? No one.
No one. This is a very fast developing story. We will have another video out by tomorrow morning. Hopefully we'll get some reactions from the opposition and reactions from the president himself. So do keep an eye out on that as well. And of course, if you like this, subscribe, like. We'd never ask you to do that, so just do it this time around. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, guys, just really kind of jump on board with this. You know, I think actually we should take 2 minutes just to actually address who Ramaphosa is. Because, you know, Ramaphosa was currently in Europe and he went to go see King Charles. And did you see the news article that came out of the BBC that basically says they've gone through with dignitaries all over the world, including Mandela and all the other, even Zuma to a large degree, when they've gone through to meet different heads of state. And he says, watching Cyril, he has never seen a man just basically walk into those environments and ask for money. He was like watching a robot street vendor going, you know, change, please. And he actually said he felt the guy was really deeply unlikable, deeply unimpressive. And he said he didn't have a nice warm feeling on Ramaphosa when he left. And for those of you who want to see that article, we'll put in the link in the description below. But this is the environment that he has created for himself.
Yeah.
This is the persona he is now left with. And the Ramaphoria days are gone. And he's got no platform left to run on. So now the question is, if he runs on the platform, as you say, of doing everything on review, he needs to gain support. Well, he can't gain support in his own party because his own party is too busy trying to fight for his head. They blood in the water and they think, oh, this gives our political opponents an opportunity to go on the rise. Just look how all the other potential contestants now are all like, hey. They're very happy at what they're seeing. So the only option he has to have any form of credibility is for him actually to go out there on a proper reform agenda and seek the opposition's favor in the form of the EFF, the DA, the Freedom Front Plus, and the other opposition parties. That's his only option, which, by the way, is 5 years too late. I mean, he should have done it 5 years ago. So
yeah. His only options are resign or actually be a reformer. We don't rate his chances of being a reformer at all. Too late for that.
My money's on resign. On resign.
And one hopes so. Oof, imagine he resigns. ANC gets 35% in 2024. Then it doesn't matter who wins the elective conference in December at all. The ANC problem's over. It's just a question of getting the election done with. But in tomorrow's video, we'll talk about maybe we should have an early election on that. But anyway, that's enough ranting for today. See you tomorrow. Like, share, subscribe. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.